Okay, hello. It's the start of the next quarter. And right off the bat, uh, I want us to go over some weirder cases with factoring that we just need to sort out um, before we really start applying it to parabolas. I promise, literally, the next lesson, you're going to be applying these ideas to parabolas. I know it's been like sort of demoralizing to do so much factoring without really like going anywhere with it, but we are going to start applying it. I really just wanted to make sure you guys are practice with it. So try your best to keep your head up. I, like some of us have been struggling with factoring, but this is it's really the meat and potatoes of algebra 2. So we will work on it and get through it together. Anyways, yeah, so we're gonna deal with some quirky cases for factoring. Let's look at this first one. This problem looks pretty normal. You, as always, with factoring, you what adds up to this first number and multiplies to the second number. You would probably soon realize that 3 and 3 work, but those are the same number. Is that a problem? No, it's fine. Or they can be both the same number. So you could write your answer like this, and that's how we would have read an answer before. But now I want us to do it in a nicer way. Uh, you know that these two things are being multiplied together, and they're the same thing. That's the same thing as squaring. So instead of this, we like to put it as a squared thing, because it's really the same thing, and it just looks nicer. Remember that squaring means multiplying it by itself. That's why these two things are the same. So this is how we're going to start writing our answers for problems like that. Okay, sometimes you're going to run into problems without an x term, so you're missing this term in the middle. We're basically going to solve it by normal, but we're also going to imagine, but like you need to kind of like imagine that there's this term here in the middle, this x term with a 0 coefficient. And then you, as always, do what adds up to 0 multiplies to -9. You're going to realize that it's 3 and -3. You can realize this because they have to add up to 0. You can probably assume that one's going to be like it's going to be a number and then the negative version of that. That's how you can add up to 0. So yeah, and then yeah, it's going to be 3 and -3, and then you put your answer like this. So yeah, pretty straightforward. The only thing that's different is like imagining this part. What if instead of missing an x term, there's no constant term? So here there's supposed to be some sort of number, but there isn't. But you can really think of it as a 0 and continue like normal. So these are two numbers. What adds up to 4 multiplies to 0. If you want them to multiply to 0, one of them has to be 0. And then if one of them is 0, you also have to ask what adds up to 4 with 0, and that would be 4. So you would get to this. And this is fine, but we can make it look nicer as well, because this part here, x plus 0, if you're adding 0 to something, that doesn't really change it. So you can actually kind of just ignore this. Which gets you to this. You can also get rid of the parentheses because you're not like, because these two things are just really being multiplied, and we already expressed that fine like this. So yeah, this is our good answer for that. But there's another way to think about it actually that's faster. You can notice that both these terms here, this is the same problem, have an x, and you can pull that out. You can factor it out. So you want to do something like this, and you want to figure out what are these question marks. x times what gets you back to x squared, and that'll be x. And x times what gets you back to 4x. That'll be 4. So yeah, there's two ways to do the problems where you don't have a number. Either way, you get to the same answer, just whichever you like more. This one is like longer, but it's more similar to what we've been doing. An important note though, no matter what, always pull out the number in front of x squared first before you do anything else. If you have 4x squared, pull out the 4 first. Always, always. Let's do some examples. How much time do I have? Okay. First example. So this problem looks pretty normal. What adds up to 4 multiplies to 4? It's not 4 and 1. That adds up to 5. So it's 2 and 2. Let's put your answer like this. This is all. This is new, but what is new is that because these two things are the same, I actually like to present it like this. And another note, always remember that you can check your answers by distributing it again. You can always check your answers. Okay, this problem, this is quirk 2, where there's no x term. So we're going to imagine one. And we're going to be like, what adds up to 0 multiplies to negative 16. Once again, like for the 0, it's going to be 2 of the same number, but one's going to be negative. Or if you want, you can think of what multiplies to negative 16. Like 2 and negative 8. That doesn't add up to 0. If you switch a negative, it still doesn't add up to 0. 4 negative 4 works though. Those add up to 0. So that's our answer. Great. Okay, this one. So there's two ways to think about this one. One way, you can do the plus 0. And then you basically continue as normal. Oops, it's supposed to be adding. So if they multiply to 0, one of them has to be 0. So our two numbers, one's going to be 0. Then they also have to add up to 200. So 200. So those are our two numbers. But this thing over here, this is really just x. X plus 0 is x. So we actually like to write an answer like this. Once again, though, there's a faster method if you want to do it, where you pull out the x. What do I have to put here to get back to x squared? X times what is x squared? X. Then x times what is 200x? 200. Boom. Okay, let's do some harder examples. Here, there's a number in front of x squared. We do not like that. We have to pull that out. So, yeah, we start by pulling this out. 2 times what is 2x squared? 2 times what is negative 12x? And then 2 times what is 18? 8. Now we just focus on the thing in the middle. What adds up to negative 6 and multiplies to 9? You can probably figure it out that they're both negative, because they still have to multiply to a positive, but they add up to a negative. And then you can probably deduce that it's negative 3. Negative 3. So 2 the same number again. So maybe you remember what happens. We're going to put a square Yeah, so these two things are the same, so we're going to square them. And yeah, just change it to this to make it look nicer. Okay, two more examples. This one, once again, number in front of x squared. We don't like that. Pull it out. 2 times what is 2x squared? Then 2 times what is negative 8. This is one, once again missing an x term. For this one, you put a 0x. Because this is really just nothing. What adds up to this multiplies to this. What multiplies to negative 4? It's 4, negative 1. Those don't add up to 0. Negative 4, 1. Those don't add up to 0. 2, negative 2. Those do add up to 0. So we like this one. Lovely. That's our answer. Yeah, last one. Here, I'm gonna just do it the faster way, because I'm bored. So yeah, always start by pulling out this number in front of x squared. So I'm gonna pull out the 4. You know what? I'll do it both ways. I'll be 4 times what is 200x. 4 times 50 is 200. Then we have the x. So let's do the slow way first. So the slow way is put a 0 there so that you can factor it normally. What multiplies to 0 and adds up to 50? One of them has to be 0 so that I can multiply to 0. 0 plus what is 50? 50. Wow, handwriting's not great right now. And this thing over here is really just x. And you could actually just write it like this. Because remember, this is all just multiplication. And this is still multiplication. So this is good. And like, you don't need this dot here. Do not put this dot here. Just put it as 4x. And let's do the other way, the faster way. So we still always want to pull out this 4. And then the faster way is also to pull out the x. And once again, like you can put it like this, or you can just put it as 4x in the front. X times what is x squared? It's x. X times what is 50x? 50. And yeah, you really don't need this dot. This is really your answer. And if you do it the fast way, I do definitely encourage you to check your answer. So I'll do that real quick. So 4x times x, it's going to be 4, and then x times x is x squared. And then 4x times 50. 4 times 50 is 200. So it'll be 200x. Which means we did it correctly, because we got back to what we started with. So yeah, lots of examples, keep reviewing them. If you're not feeling great about it, also practice. You guys got this, you'll survive, trust.